All right, we want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. And I want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters that are in this truth. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, we're back with another lesson. And this one's going to be titled, Even the Animals Hate Esau, right? I'm going to report on two separate attacks, by animals, all right, on the so-called white man, these Edomites, man, all right? And the Lord is showing what type of spirit that the earth is in right now, all right? As you've seen the reports of the bees, all right, swarming Jerusalem where the Amalekites are, all right? The crows were surrounding, the same place, all right? There's a lot of warnings going out, right? And if you look at these things spiritually, it goes to show you, all right, that Esau is at the end, man, of things, okay? Everything is rising up against it, okay? The earth has had enough of Esau's doings, right? This man is greatly despised, not only by the nations, right, but by the whole earth, okay? The sun hates this man, all right? The animals hate this man. Okay, and it's starting to show. Okay, the Lord is showing you through the Spirit, all right, that this man, all right, is at an end, right, with his BS. Okay, I'm gonna pull out these two articles and get some scriptures through the Spirit to show you, all right, that the Lord is in control, and these are tokens, all right, of the tables turning, all right, and what's happening to the so-called white man, all right. So right here, okay, it says, 2 U.S. soldiers mauled by brown bear during military training exercise as hunt for beast launched. Now it sounds like these people are hunting down a bear, all right? So these people are out there, all right? And you know what? Let me get the full report before I speak on it, right? Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm speaking correct on it, right? It says, 2 soldiers have been mauled by a brown bear in a savage attack during a training session in Alaska. All right, you see it, and this is the thing, like, Esau always want to, make everybody else the predator, all right? Everybody else is at fault but Esau, all right? But here you are, you're the one training in his backyard, all right? But you are calling the bear a savage, all right, in a savage attack, all right? But if you put the shoe on the other foot, right, where the bear enters your home and you shoot it, all of a sudden you're justified for it, right? You were in danger, all right? But you don't see it that way. You don't think the bear sees it that way when you are in his backyard, all right, training, okay? The forest you have cut down 2/3 of the forest down to build your infrastructures, all right? These animals have no space, and now you're going into the space that they got to do your training, okay? They get defensive, right, to protect their home, and you call it a savage attack, okay? This is the audacity of the so-called white man, all right? So it says, the duo from the joint base, Almond Dorf Richardson in Anchorage were taking part in a land navigation exercise when they came upon the wild beast. All right. And it says, a statement from the 11th Airborne Division, of which the pair were a part of, revealed the soldiers were receiving medical treatment. Both individuals sustained injuries and are currently receiving appropriate medical care, the statement read. For privacy reasons, we are not releasing names or specific details about their condition until next of kin has been notified. So it sounds like they're not in good shape, right? It says, an investigation into the ordeal has been launched, officials say. So now you're investigating the fact that a bear is in his backyard. Like, what do you need to investigate, right? You were in a place you shouldn't have been, right? performing these exercises, all right, and now you want to investigate. What are you investigating? Okay? What are you going to call the forensic team now? You're going to start measuring paw prints on the floor. You know, you're going to measure the teeth marks, you know, get dental records, and now you're going to, you know, do a massive hunt. You know, you're going to put him in the most wanted. All right? You're going to name the bear, and now you're going to do? Bring him to justice? What investigation do you need? This is how stupid Esau is. That's why the scripture says that they are children of fools. You see? You have no understanding. And that's why a bear, all right, sees a so-called white man and automatically knows there's danger, right? It says, both soldiers were armed with bear spray during the exercise. You see, so you already knew that you could have came across, right, this type of animal, right? Because if not, you wouldn't have been armed with that type of spray, okay? So you knew you were invading the bear's home, okay? It says the Alaska Department of Fish and Game said the bear had likely attacked defensively after recently emerging from its winter hibernation. Right. So what else is there to investigate? Okay? Officials have not yet been able to locate the animal after scouring the region. This is crazy. So now they are really hunting this animal down after he was doing what he was supposed to do, which was what? Defend his home. Okay? He defended his home, but yet you want to hunt him down to what? To put him down? Because you deem him dangerous for doing what he was supposed to do. For him acting on instinct, right? Which was to protect, right, his surroundings. Okay? We hope both individuals have a full and quick recovery, and our thoughts are with them during this time, a spokesperson from the department said. All right? So, to the investigating the circumstances that led to the attack. You know, more investigation, all right, that led into the attack. We're not going to read any further. It just shows you the mindset of Esau, man. Okay? It just shows you how unjust this man is. Okay? They act like creatures are stupid. You know? They act like animals are just wandering around with no type of wisdom. Right? But the animals have more wisdom than Esau himself, man. Esau is the dumbest creature, right, that the Lord created on this planet Earth, and he did it for a reason, because the Lord said he created the wicked even for the day of evil, right? And evil people are stupid, right? For anybody to bring bad times upon the earth and upon humanity, you got to be a dumb creature, right? But an animal only does, right, what he knows, and that's to protect, to feed, all right? He's going off instinct, you see? But here it is, Esau is now going to bring in detectives, and this shit is foolish to even talk about, all right? But the white man got to be exposed for what he is, a dumb brute beast, right? He's below these animals, man, all right? He's below a roach, all right? And roaches ain't really liked, but Esau's below that, all right? A roach has a purpose if you look it up, all right? There's going to be a reason why Esau, Edom, right, the so-called white man, after his 1,000 years of slavery, is going to get taken out in the kingdom, right? Because he's not going to serve no purpose after that. His purpose was to bring wickedness and evil on the earth, okay? But a roach is still going to serve its purpose, right? Even after the 1,000 years, okay? The roach ain't prophesied to be exterminated. Esau, Edom is. And this is one of the reasons why. Because he is dumb as hell. Right? Now, I'm going to bring out another article, okay? And this one says, right? Safari park owner who once said he'd rather be killed by an elephant then shoot one is fatally trampled by an elephant. All right? Now, you might say, oh, you know, well, he said he'd rather not shoot. Okay? But at the end of the day, these people got these animals locked up. It is the only nation, Salaki, can I get that water one more time? This is the only nation, all right, that has locked up animals, okay, for their benefit and profit, right? Playing God. You know, nobody dies innocent, as the scripture says, for who has perished being innocent, right? These people have oppressed these animals, all right, for hundreds of years. They hunting them down, poaching, right, for ivory, their tusks, you know, just for their gains. You think elephants and other animals forget about that, right? Like I said, animals ain't dumb. They adapt. They know, all right? They could also read spirits, okay? They also know what's going on, especially when you ever heard, you know, the memory of an elephant, all right? The elephant never forgets, you see? But people will say, well, he said he'd rather die than shoot, you know, than to shoot an elephant. Well, he got what he deserved anyways, okay? You sitting there, you know, probably mistreating these animals in these conditions that they're in when they're supposed to be out in the open, right? In their own habitats, you know, doing what they do, being unbothered, right? But the white man want to have his hand in everything, okay? So let's read on, right? It said a safari park owner, all right? You see, this is the owner who once said he'd rather be killed by an elephant than shoot one, was fatally trampled by an elephant at his South African wildlife reserve. And this is crazy because these South Africans, they're Edomites. They stole that land, all right? They conquer everything. They establish what they established, all right? All because of greed, okay? Let's read on. It says, Gary Freeman, 65, an experienced safari tour guide, was leading a small group of tourists at Klaseri Private Nature Reserve in the Limpopo province on April 9 when the rogue elephant, you see, there it goes. You know, they put a bad name to anything that goes against them, right? It couldn't have been that, you know, the elephant is tired of, you know, living in those conditions, right? It just went rogue, right? All of a sudden it didn't obey his beast master, right? Suddenly charged at him, the Daily Mail reported. Gary tried to break the charge, but he never fired a shot. And the Lord put that spirit in him because it was his time. It was his time to go out that way, right? He want to own safaris. He want to lock down animals, okay? Have them in those conditions. The Lord put that spirit in him, all right, for him to receive that judgment. The elephant was very quickly on him, and it was, as you imagine, not pleasant, a source said. Right, all right? So guess what? He got trampled, right? He got smoked by this elephant, all right? Point blank, period. You shouldn't be having these animals locked up, like I said, okay? You done it to humans. You did it to the fishes, to the animals, okay? You lock down the airspace. You can't fly planes unless you know English, okay? The so-called white man want to own and lock down everything, all right? And the Lord is showing you that, hey, these people are going to get judged. And this is only the beginning, right? Like I said, you see the bees, they swarmed over there in Jerusalem. That's a token. The crows were circling around, right? And crows circle around when they know there's going to be dead bodies, right? That's a token, all right? So the animals, even the animals hate Esau, man, right? For the things he has done, okay? And like I said, this is the beginning, all right? These are just tokens, all right, of what's to come, all right? We believe through the Spirit, and me, I'm speaking as a man, all right? Right now, you know, there's going to be a lot of animals rebelling against the so-called white man, okay? So let's go to the scriptures. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Let me shut this down real quick. Let's go to the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12 and verse 1.
There's the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12 and verse 1. For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things.
You see that? For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things, okay? So the Lord is leading the charge in all these attacks, all right? Because his incorruptible spirit is in all things, all right? And these beasts were created, right, for those judgments on that day, okay? The Lord is leading the charge against these people, all right? And soon it's going to go from animals to people, man, all right? These animals are going to charge against Esau. People are going to charge against Esau. The winds, right? Hurricanes, right? The tempests, all types of, you know what I mean? Everything is going to go against them, man. You're going to see, you know, these aircraft carriers and you know, these naval, you know, warships and all that, you know, being destroyed, right? By hurricanes and all types of, you know, sea creatures rising that you never heard of, right? The Leviathan, okay? But the point is that the Lord's incorruptible spirit is in all things, man, all right? These animals are going to have that spirit in them, and the Lord's going to send them, all right, after this man, all right, for what he has done, okay? So let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 36. Let's start at verse Sirach here. 38. Matter of fact, let me look it up real quick. I know it was somewhere around there. Bear with me real quick. Khan, there you go. I knew it was somewhere around there. Ecclesiasticus 39 and 28.
There's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39 and verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
You see that? There are spirits created for vengeance. And remember, the Lord just said that all his incorruptible spirit is in all things. Okay? So these spirits were created for vengeance, right?
Which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them.
You see that? Okay? And appease the wrath of him that made them. And the Lord is the creator of all things. Okay?
Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts.
See that one more time?
Teeth of wild beasts.
Teeth of wild beasts. You see that? All these things were created for vengeance. Even the teeth of wild beasts.
And scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction.
The wicked to destruction. And the wicked is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay?
They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth.
You see that? So they're going to rejoice upon the commandment, okay? They're ready to go, because this is what they were created for.
When need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word.
Right, because the Lord is in control of these spirits. They're not going to transgress his word, okay? They're going to be happy to do what they got to do, all right? Because they were created for that, all right? If a gun had a spirit in them, would it be happy just sitting in the shelf, never being shot? No. Okay, it was created to shoot. It was created to kill, right? So it's going to rejoice when the trigger's being pulled, right? When it hits something, when it takes something down. That's what it was created for, all right? There's the same thing with these animals that were created, those examples you just saw. Remember when Elisha had that, cursed those kids, right? And that she-bear came and mauled them, all right? That she-bear was also created for that, okay? Just like you see these two examples, right? That elephant and that bear. They were created for this judgment, all right? You see? And they did not transgress the word of the Lord, because his incorruptible spirit, meaning it cannot be corrupted, it cannot be turned away from his command, all right, is in all things. You see? So, let's go real quick to the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, all right, and start at verse 4.
There's a book of Isaiah, chapter 24, and verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away.
The earth mourneth and fadeth away, right? Why?
The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish.
You see that? The haughty people of the earth do languish, okay? And this is all under Esau's watch, is why the earth is mourning and fading away, right? Why the world is languishing, right? And fading away, right?
The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof.
You see that? It is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. It is on your time. This is your fault, Esau, Edom, okay? This is why the animals are in an uproar. This is why the animals are beaching themselves in the ocean, right? The whales, okay? You got plastic islands, okay? Like I said, these zoos you put up, just, you look at the animals, they're sad, man, all right? You put a couple trees to make it look like they're in the wilderness, but they know, all right? They suffering. Go ahead.
Because they have transgressed the laws.
You see that? You an adversary, man. You're Satan in the flesh. Okay, you're the devil on the earth. You see? Go ahead.
Changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth.
The curse has devoured the earth, okay? And the curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, because they are the curse of the earth, man. Okay, the so-called white man. All right, they have devoured the earth. All right, every other nation that ruled, all right, respected the earth, except for you, so-called white man, right?
And they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left.
You see that? And that's why the Lord is coming back with that judgment, okay? That's why the Lord is coming back with that judgment, man, all right? You have no respect for the earth. You have no respect for the animals, all right? You have no sympathy for anything that lives, okay? You just want, right? All you want is gold, oil, right? Money, right? Resources, that's all you care about at any cost, right? Who cares about the living as long as your belly is full, right? Okay? That's why the Lord is coming back, all right? And that's why the whole earth is going to rise up against you. The whole earth is going to rise up against you, man. You shall be greatly despised, like I said earlier, not only among all the nations, right, but even the animals, okay? They ain't forget. They know. They've adapted, okay? They fear you. They hate you. They know what you've done, right? So now you're going to have to reap what you've sown, okay? And you've burnt every bridge. So therefore, you're going to drown in misery. All right? So let's go to the book of Job. All right, chapter 18. Let's go to verse 5 real quick to get some context.
There's the book of Job, chapter 18, verse 5. Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out.
See that? The light of the wicked shall be put out. All right? So now we know that this is talking about the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, right?
And the spark of his fire shall not shine.
Right. So let's jump down, all right, to go to verse 17.
His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he...
Salakia, you know what? Start at 16.
His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off.
That's right. And what does it say in Obadiah 1 and 10? Right? For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Okay? Go ahead.
His remembrance shall perish from the earth.
Right, Obadiah 1 and 18. All right? Because you're going to be gathered up and burnt. All right? For all the treachery you have done, man. All right? You are the wicked. All right? That's how you were wired. Right? But in the kingdom, after that, you're not going to be needed. All right? There's no fixing you. Okay? You've been programmed to be who you are, and there is no fixing you. Got to get rid of you completely.
And he shall have no name in the street.
Khan.
He shall be driven from light into darkness, and chased out of the world.
See that? You gotta get chased out of the world, man. All right? You gotta be done away with, right? Then this is gonna be literal, man. All right? You're the fugitive and the vagabond, man. Okay? There's a wanted poster for you. All right? And pretty soon, even the animals are gonna be after you, man. All right? Everybody's tired of you. You see? You walking up and down the streets with your pelican nose, right? Sticking your nose in everybody's business, thinking you're better than everybody, looking like some goddamn rotten salami, all right? Stank ass bologna, right? Got that ham skin on you, right? Just some nasty looking creatures, right? Thinking that they better than everybody, all right? But the Lord put you in this position of power in order to destroy you. You see? You've been okey-doked, all right? And through all your actions, what the Lord has in store for you is justified, okay? You see? And this is only the beginning, because there's going to be a lot of animals coming after you, man, all right? Wait until the Lord put the spirit on all them lions, cheetahs, all right? God, I'm going to have polar bears, all right? Tearing down your secret facilities out there in Antarctica, all right? All you zookeepers, man, are going to be found dead, mauled, all right? You people going into the jungle to poach, okay? The Lord's going to snare all of you, man. You see? You people can't mind your goddamn business. You people don't know how to respect the living, all right? So let's go. Let's close it out with the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 2.
There's a book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
You see that? The people mourn. But in this case, the whole earth. Right? It's not a secret, man. All right? Your end is coming. All right? All your treachery, all the wickedness that you have done, all right, is coming to an end. And we can't wait, man. We're hastening the day of the Lord's coming. Because we can't wait to see the fall of our enemy, man. You are not only the enemy of the Israelites, man, which we are, all right, lions and hyenas, okay? We are arch enemies, man. But you are an enemy to the earth, man. You are an enemy to the Lord, okay? You see? And that's why when the Lord put you in rulership, okay, the earth mourned, man. Because there's not a righteous bone in you. You wasn't created to be righteous. You were created to be violent in the earth, as the scripture says. All right? So even the animals hate you, Esau. You're in a bad position now that your rulership is crumbling. All right? So Lord willing, this was edifying. And with that, we're going to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. And I want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters that are in this truth. Shalom.
Shalom.
Abba.
Abba.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kum Yisrael.
Shalom.
Shalom.